Hello guys. So today I am going to solve this problem, average time of process per machine. So my main intention of making this video is not to solve this problem, but rather to show how to write complicated nested SQL queries. So in this problem, we will write the SQL query for this problem and we'll solve this problem. And this is actually a good problem, although it's rated as easy on the LeetCode, but I think it's a good problem. So yeah, so we'll see how we can write, how we can nest the queries together, and how we can write correlated queries, and how to first of all, the first thing that we'll try to learn here is that how to approach a problem or such problems, right? So this is the problem that is given to us. Okay, so this is the schema given to us. So I'm not going to read the problem, I'll just explain you the schema of the database. So here we have four columns: machine ID, process ID, activity type, and timestamp, and these are the data types: intent, enum, and float. Now what you need to do is you have to find out the average process time for each machine with unique machine ID. So I can say that here you have three machines with machine IDs 0, 1, and 2. And then for each particular machine you have some processes. For example, here for machine ID 0 you have process ID 0 and 1, and then you have the start and end time of a particular process ID. So what you need to do is you need to calculate the duration of each process of a particular machine, and then you have to take the average of that total process time, or that is the average of all the processes time uh, for a particular machine, and then you will have to find the average time for that ID. So like here we can see that the machine ID 0 has an average processing time of 0.894. So how did we arrive to this? We calculated the difference between these two, 4.12 and 3.1. It came out to be something, and then 1.5 minus 0.7, it came out to be something. Then we added them and divided by 2, that is took the average. So that is what you have to do, and for this problem you have to write the SQL query. So let's just start. So let's just first try to think like where to start, because obviously we will have an idea, we should have an idea here that we are going to write nested queries, but how to, like, what query should we write first? That is something that I'm going to teach you here today. So see, what we need to do is we need to calculate the total process time for all the processes of a particular machine ID, right? That is something that we all can agree, right? So what I will do is uh, I will try to create, like, I'll try to calculate the process time, all the processes time of a particular machine ID. What I'm saying is, let's suppose for machine ID 0, I will calculate the process time, that is the duration of all the processes. That is process number 0, process number 1, I'll calculate the total processing time, all the processing times of that particular machine. So for that I can write the SQL query as select, right? Now I can say uh, machine ID. So see, what I'm going to do is I will create a unary relation here to this table by using inner join. Now what is inner join and how inner join can be used for creating unary relations? If you do not know these things, then I would recommend you to just go and learn these things, because these are very important SQL concepts that you must know for solving such problems, right? So that is something that we are going to use here, that is using inner join as unary relation within a given table, right? So what I can say is select machine ID. So I'll basically create two aliases, m1 and m2. So I will say that select m1 dot, sorry, select m1 dot machine ID, and I will create m1 dot timestamp. I will calculate m1 dot timestamp minus m2 dot timestamp. So this will be the duration of a particular process, right? And then I will say as, so let's suppose that the process time for a particular process of a particular machine, we are giving it the name as, let's suppose, process time. Okay, so I'll say uh, process process time. So this is an alias, right? This is an alias name that I'm giving. So select my m1 dot machine id, m1 dot timestamp minus m2 dot timestamp as process time. From, okay, I can write from, just a sec, yeah, from, and I can give the table the alias name. So I can say activity as m1, inner join, okay, inner join activity as m2. Okay, activity as m1, activity as m2. Now what is the condition on which we are joining? That is a unary relation. And what is the unary relation? See, there are three important relations that we have to note here. First of all, the process time that you are calculating, that is something you are calculating for one machine, right? So for both m1 and m2, the machine IDs must be same. This is the first condition. The second condition is you are calculating the duration of a particular process, right? Therefore the process ID must also be the same for both m1 and m2. And what should be the activity type? Since we are subtracting the timestamp of m1, that means that activity type of m1 should be end, and m2, that is we are subtracting, so it should be, the activity type of m2 should be start. So these are the three conditions that we will put here. So what we will say is on m1 dot machine id equals to m2 dot machine id, and m1 dot process id equals to m2 dot process id, and we will say the activity type of m1, right? So I can say and m1 dot activity type must be end, and m2 dot activity type must be start, right? Yeah, that's it. So yeah, that is it, and I think this should work. So let's try to run this query. Okay, so this is going to be our sub query, so let's try to run it. I'm sorry, and let's see if it runs. So obviously it will give the wrong answer, but yeah, it's working fine. So basically for machine with machine id 0, there is a process of duration 0.8 and so, and then there is another process of duration 0.97999, and then for machine number 1 there are two processes with duration this. Now what we need to do is, see, we need to find the average of these values. That is, for machine 1 we have to find the average of this value, that is these two values. Then for machine 1, I'm sorry, for machine 0 we have to find the average of these values, the first two values, and then for machine 1 we have to find the average of these two values, and then for machine 2 we have to find the average of these two values again, right? So this query, we know that this query is basically returning a table, right? So why can't we just use this as a sub table or as a sub query, and then we can write another query out of it? That is, we can nest the two queries to find the final answer. So what I'll do is, I'll say I'm writing my final outer query. So I'm saying select, I need a machine code, sorry, machine ID. So I'll say select machine ID. This was my first column, and then average of what? Average of this entire thing, right? So I will say average process time, because I've given already a custom alias to this. So I can simply write here process time, right? Select machine ID average process time from which table? The table that is being returned by this subquery, that is this one, right? So I can just write it here. Yeah, so I am saying just a second, I'll just, yeah, so this is it. Okay, I'll just format it a bit. One dot activity type and equals to end. Yeah, so this is it. So I am selecting the machine ID and the average process time from the table that is being returned by this subquery, and I will have to group it by machine ID, right? So I will say group by machine ID, right? Yeah, so this is our final query, but this will give you an error. I'll show you when you run it, this will give you an error. And this is that there is a syntax error and it is expecting something else. So this is a semicolon here, this should not be here. Okay, another error again, if I try to run it, it will again show me error because we are not giving any custom alias to this table. So it says that every derived table must have its own alias, so we'll have to give an alias to it. So let's suppose I'm giving it as temp, anything I can give. So I'll give this as temp, right? So I'm saying select machine ID, average process time from this table which is being returned by this subquery, give it a custom alias as temp and group by machine ID. So let's try to run it and see if it's working. Not, it will not run, it will give me wrong answer because I am not rounding off the average values, and it has been clearly stated in the question. I'll just show you, which should be rounded to 3 decimal places. So we'll have to write this statement as well in our SQL query. I'll just simply write round my average value by 3 decimal places, and again it will not run, it will show me error, and I'll tell you why. So now you can see the answer is coming right, but we have not given this column name as a custom alias again. So we'll have to give it as custom alias again as processing time. So I'll say processing time. So I'll just say as processing time, and this is it. Okay, now this is our final query and this should run. So let's try to run it. And yeah, it gets accepted. So let's try to submit it. And yeah, it gets accepted. So yeah, this is the query for this problem. Now I just wanted to show you how to approach such problems, like how to, whenever there are nested queries, how to think of writing which query, how to think like which query to write first and then what query to nest it with the inner query. So I hope you would have got something to know from this video, like how to write SQL queries and how to nest them together. And yeah, so that is for today. I hope you have understood it, and see you the next time. Thank you.